You're listening to Mind, Body, Home with your host, Sarah Ann. We're going to talk about digital clutter today. And before I get into it, just want to preface with why so much conversation on clutter. It's really very simple. When I was working in interior design, one of the first things we did is look at a space and discern what needs to stay and what needs to go, right? Things that are outdated, furnishings that are outdated, art pieces that no longer have resonance in the home. When I transitioned into coaching, people come to me because they're looking to make a change in their life, or they are feeling stuck in some way, in some aspect of life that they can't really see without the assistance of someone to kind of guide them to understanding what is in the way, what is keeping us stuck, what is cluttering up our flow. Maybe, and for a lot of people, it's mental clutter, right? So when it comes to digital clutter, it's the same thing, right? Our brains were never really meant to be able to process the amount of information that we are exposed to on a daily basis, right? Now that we are in that digital age, digital clutter is becoming the next wave of physical clutter, in a sense, that we need to be more aware of. And it's such an underrated but powerful topic, especially when we're thinking holistically about the mind-body-home connection. So how and why does digital clutter impact the mind, body, and home? Well, energy lingers in the unseen, right? Just because it's digital doesn't mean it's not energetic, right? Energy itself is unseen, but it's also felt, right? Every unread email, every unorganized photo album, any app you no longer use, right? It all creates this sort of psychic tug on you, right? There's this lingering sense of something being incomplete. We are stuck in a loop that we're typically not even aware of. And these micro stressors, right? They accumulate and then they mirror and they contribute to the chaos and the overwhelm that we often feel in our physical and emotional and environmental lives. We might think it's, it's just on my phone, or it's on my laptop, or it's in the cloud, but your nervous system is still registering digital clutter as unresolved, incomplete, or, even in a state of overload, right? It's this tasking that I often refer to in our mind that directly contributes to a state of overwhelm. And tasking doesn't just happen in our mind, it happens in the digital sense as well, and we're going to get into some details, but it's in the multiple browser tabs that we have open, tasking in the background while we're trying to be focused on something else. That's just one of many examples I'm going to share with you in just a minute. But your digital clutter, it contributes to things like decision fatigue, right? Distractions, all of those creating significant mental drains. The brain has to sift through more than we realize, more than we have the capacity to sift through. And that's a really important point, because we are bombarded all day, every day, by constant notifications, open tabs I just mentioned, right? How many of you are keeping internet tabs open while you're working so that you don't forget to respond to something or take some sort of action on something, right? We have digital to-do lists. We have file folders. Our desktops have a million dots, screenshots, downloads, all lingering in the background, right? And they all require some micro decision throughout your day. And that pulls you away from your focus, pulls you from presence, pulls you from the clarity you're seeking, right? All that you need, all of those you need to accomplish your day-to-day work. And it's like walking into a messy room, except the mess is on your hard drive or it's in your inbox. Mental clutter equals a lack of focus, it equals a lack of attention, and it's often an overload of unprocessed input. And in my last episode, I talked about how physical clutter is usually an overload of unprocessed emotional feelings, right? So digital chaos contributes to the chaos in our home. It brings about a disharmony in a sense. Things feel overwhelming. Things feel out of alignment. Your mind and your nervous system never seem to be able to relax. There's always something more calling for our attention. And, just like the body, the home reflects what's going on in the mind. And when digital clutter builds, the ripple effects often show up in our surroundings too. So again, this is all connected. The mind-body-home connection is real, right? Your desk becomes full of chargers and cords and printouts and books and journals, right? All in an attempt to remind us to complete something down the road because there's too much coming at us at once, right? And then we turn to behaviors such as behaviors of avoidance because our nervous system just shuts down. Like it physically can't take on anything else. It can't process anything anymore. So then we end up distracting ourselves or dissociating in some way by binge watching things or scrolling endlessly on our phone or shopping online, right? There's many ways in which we dissociate from our lives or from the present moment. This is why the next day when we open the laptop, we find yesterday's internet tabs still open and waiting for us to accomplish whatever it is we set out to do before we had a complete mental and physical shutdown. So if your digital landscape is disorganized, your home rhythms can easily fall out of sync as well. Even more importantly, digital clutter blocks, our creative energy, our flowing energy. Creativity needs space to move, both internally and externally. When we are inundated with stored photos, half-written documents that we've started, we've gone from paper Post-it notes to digital notepads, right? And unclosed browser tabs. It literally clogs our inner bandwidth to create. And we subconsciously feel like there's no room for something new to come in creatively. I just came to this realization just a few days ago. The idea of digital clutter has been on my mind, and so I've been paying attention, trying to, notice when I feel out of alignment because of something digital, right? I'm actually in the process of writing a book, yay, which is very exciting, right? And I've been hesitant to sign up for this course to help me get it off the ground. And I was hesitant not because of the cost of the course or the timing of the course, maybe a little bit of timing, but it's more of like, do I even have the bandwidth? I mean, writing my first book, you can't get much more creative than that, right? But what I was resisting was the inner dialogue that I didn't have the bandwidth. I have all these other things going on that I need to commit to. And can I really commit to something else? And I was noticing these are digital commitments. I have photos I want to go through for my mother-in-law and our trip to Disney. I need to create space in Adobe or upgrade. I need to do that both for Apple and for Adobe. And it's like, do I pay for more space or do I just sit down and get the work done? Right? So it's just these little things that are constantly running in the background that are, really creating a lack of creative space. Of course, writing a book, I want to make space for this project. So what I need to do is a digital detox, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. I need to clear away the digital and the physical space to make room for this creative, expansive energy that is required to writing a book, right? And I want that so bad. It's been on my heart for so long, and I am letting tasking and digital clutter and physical clutter, in a sense, really get in the way of that. You've probably heard me talk about clarity cleaning, and this applies to the digital landscape as well. If you're not familiar with it, clarity cleaning is and exercised in cleaning and clearing clutter, or just cleaning in general, while holding the intention of inviting your intuitive self to reveal to you anything you feel stuck on. Because when you don't feel clear mentally, you aren't intentional, you have no focus, you have no presence in anything that you're doing. A lot of people listen to music or a podcast, or a lot of times ruminating in their heads, a conversation, an argument, or they're still tasking all the other things that they want to get done. Clarity cleaning invites you to begin your cleaning session with the intention of getting clear about something. So this is a great exercise for digital clutter as well. Before you sit down to clear old files or photos on your computer, you set the intention of allowing the digital clutter to reveal to you why you let it get this clogged up in the first place, and then focus on how you want to feel at the end of your session and what it will feel like to have gotten this task done. You know how good it feels, right? To check a box or strike through a task on your to-do list. This is what we're aiming for after a digital clearing session as well. So there are tons of examples of digital clutter. Some are very obvious, some are not so obvious, but I'm going to give them to you here because I want you to really start thinking to yourself, where is my digital clutter clogged, right? The first one I'll start with is obvious, and it affects so many of us and has been affecting us for a really long time. Email clutter, right? Hundreds, if not thousands of unread emails. How many of you have those, right? Email subscriptions that you don't read, you don't even remember signing up for, that you just, when you have the capacity, you might click and delete. And how many of those do you click and delete every single day? I have some of those, and I've recently been sitting down every single day for 5 minutes, going through my promotions tab and unsubscribing from things that no longer resonate, that I just don't want to hear more of, or that I just feel are sending too often. I mean, that is one thing. Yes, I'm a business owner. I understand the importance of email marketing, but I am really trying to be conscious of how many emails I'm sending people, because I don't want to add to people's overwhelm. I teach people how to feel less overwhelmed, so I don't want to be a contributor to that. How many of you have flagged emails or snoozed emails to deal with them later, but months later you're still snoozing that same email, or it has unsnoozed and you just didn't look at it? You can go through that actual snooze folder and look at that. What have you been ignoring? What still needs your attention, and what can just be unsnoozed and deleted? Maybe you have multiple inboxes. Maybe you have old email addresses that is still receiving email, right? Even if you don't see it, it's still there in the subconscious. It's still lingering somewhere. How many of us have had email now for decades? I was recently cleaning up the folders. At one point, I was filing folders from school, school notifications, from past careers. I'm talking old stuff. Or old courses that I took, got the information from the course, learned the course, done, moving on. Why do I still need all of this, right? There's something about, lifetime access. How many of you actually access that stuff in a lifetime? You learn it and move on, right? We integrate it into our lives and we move on. So just cleaning out some old labels in the email is also another form of digital detoxing. So I want to talk about mental clutter, and the load that it takes, the digital to-do list, as I'll call it, right? We have notes all over the place in 5 different apps, right? We have Apple Notes, we have Evernote, we have InkPad, we might even have some voice memos in there, right? How many of you have screenshots saved with an idea, I'll come back to this later? Right? I have, in Instagram, I have that. I have these collections, right, of things that I've added to different collections. I'd say there's probably one folder that I use. One, maybe 2, but I'll stick with 1 because if I want to be honest here. But just the time it takes to sit there and create your collection and then add things to it. Again, look at it, integrating, moving on. But all of this stuff is building up in the background. If you post on social media, how many times have you drafted social posts, right, and never posted them? Could you go in there and clean those up? Or maybe newsletters that you never sent, or emails that you never sent, drafts in your email, right? Unfinished projects in the cloud, right? Canva's a good, like that's a really good example for me, Canva. So many times I'll go to create a document, and then, I get distracted, or I'm like, nah, forget it. That's not a good idea. And I'll scrap it. But then I have these like blank Canva docs, just untitled documents sitting in there, going in Canva every once in a while, and cleaning that up, right? This one's a big one, files and storage, right? Your desktop is covered in random downloads and screenshots, right? You have folders within folders that you've never added anything to, or you haven't opened them in years, right? You might have some duplicate files or some version of the same thing, like photos or PDFs. PDFs are a huge one. I work with clients where I'm always in sort of like a creation phase. And so it's like, okay, here's the draft, download it, share it with the client. And then 2 days later, download. Okay, here's your revisions. Perfect. Another tweak. Okay, 3 days later, download. So I have like the same download of the same PDF for one client, taking up all of that space, right? One of these days, I'm going to click and send the wrong PDF, right? How many of you have if you're a business owner, if you have some outdated branding or business files that no longer reflect you or aligned with your business? I have a lot of that. I mean, and recently just cleaned that up. But I also have a lot of stuff in my Google Drive, just stuff that totally doesn't resonate, okay? Client projects. I have 50 gigs full in my Google Docs, and I would say 2/3 of it could probably just go right in the trash can. Don't even need to look at it. I just know. But there's just taking the time to actually do it is what is the sticking point for myself and for a lot of people, right? This one's a biggie, and I just, take a breath, because I know this one is going to you're going to feel it. Photo and media clutter, right? Thousands. We're talking thousands of unsorted photos on our phones, in the cloud, various photo printing apps, right? How many of you have Shutterfly accounts, Costco, Walgreens? It's endless. And again, like the email, we're talking decades now of photography. Videos that you've never watched, right? If you're a family now and you have your partner's phone, and depending on the age of your children, now you have your kid's phone and their photos and videos, right? It's overwhelming. You have albums that you've created and are empty, and it makes things kind of hard to find. There's no real sense of organization ever when you got started. So now it feels like such a huge job to try to organize that. Totally get it. I mentioned I have to get Disney photos organized and printed for my mother-in-law. She's not really on the digital platform anywhere, so she still likes print photography. And I just need to go through them and edit a few of them and upload them to Walgreens or Walmart so that she can print them out. I mean, just that task alone feels so heavy to me. There might be some emotional weight too from seeing memories that haven't processed fully, right? These could be emotions that bring us joy. These could be emotions that bring us grief, right? It can be joyful moments like a graduation or a wedding. Or it could be, you come across photos of a pet that has passed, or an ex that you're no longer with, right? I keep mentioning past clients. I could run into previous photos from past clients and their projects, right? I don't even do full service interior design anymore, but I still have project photos on my phone. Or I have their scope of work documents in my Google Drive. This is all keeping me stuck in a past career identity. And I've spoken about this before. We see this in physical form when we hold on to uniforms and business attire that's no longer needed, or, in general, when we cling to any sort of identity that's tied to our past, whether it's a past relationship, a past career, right? This also happens in the digital world. Our files, our folders, our photos, our documents are all keeping us stagnating in the past when we are meant to truly move forward. Phones are the biggest, right? Even more so than our computers. Our phones are literally everything. How many of you have pages of unused applications? The notifications piling up, right? Like the constant buzzing, the pinging, the pop-ups, right? They are subtle, but they create a chronic stress response every single time your phone lights up. It's this sense that I need to check it, and I need to check it now, right? How often do you pick up your phone or check your email when you're working on something else, right? How many times, this one gets me all the time, how many times have you gone to pick up your phone to check something only to be distracted by a notification, right? Completely forgetting why you picked up your phone in the first place. I get so frustrated at myself when this happens because it's like I immediately realize in that moment just how easily distracted I can get. And I get probably not so much frustrated at me, myself, but I get frustrated at my phone. Maybe you've set up notifications to ping you as a summary at the end of the day or first thing in the morning. Do you actually even go through it and read through your summary? I personally do not anymore. I used to have a lot of apps set to summary. That was like my half-ass attempt to minimize notifications, but I'll see that I have like 20 app notifications and just hit the X. I don't even care, if it's something important, I will get a phone call, I will get a text, I will get an email. The people that need me or need my immediate attention, my family, my friends, my clients, they know how to get a hold of me. Everything else, everyone else can wait. And so I just turned notifications off completely. Sticking to the phone concept, out-of-date contacts, duplicate contacts, contacts with no name and just a number, your text list. Oh my gosh, that takes up so much data space. I don't know if you've realized that, but I've had pages. I was like, why is the storage so limited? And I checked, and that messages storage was taking up so much of the storage. I couldn't believe it. So just continually swiping and deleting text messages. All of the apps that drain your energy, okay? This is important now more than ever with everything that's going on in the world, politically, energetically, culturally, socially. There is just too much. Not only were we not meant to be able to process the amount of data coming at us, we are certainly not conditioned to process the amount of negative data that is coming to us on a daily basis. So getting rid of things that drain your energy, social media, news apps, I don't care what it is. If it's something that when you get off that app and you feel depleted, you feel negative, you feel energetically just down or emotionally distressed, it should not be on your phone. It should not have easy access to your energy. Stay informed however you need to, but being really mindful about this. So the other thing is digital paperwork, right? We sort of talked about this. I know when we sort of started shifting to things digitally, a lot of us went out and bought scanners, right? How many have you scanned notes or papers into your computer and never organized them? You meant to, but the organization part really felt like a big lift. So that's a big one. Just organizing into folders in general, right? Unfiled PDFs, your tax documents, medical docs. You have some in downloads, you have some in your scanned in, you have some sitting on your desktop, some sitting in a folder, some sitting in the wrong folder, some up in Google Drive, some in a Dropbox. How disorganized is your digital paperwork, right? It's, especially important documents such as medical docs and, maybe receipts if you're a business owner for taxes, whatever. how disorganized are you there? And then there's the good old digital time wasters, having the 87 tabs open of maybe I'll read this later, or, oh, I need to get this done. I mean, one of the things I do often, and I again have sort of come into recent awareness about, is my daughter will say, Mom, can I use your laptop? And the first response out of my mouth is, yes, but make sure you open a new browser tab. Don't close any of my tabs. Like, there's this literal fear that if those tabs get closed or shut down, that I am going to forget to respond to someone, to read something, to purchase something. Like, there's so many somethings that it could be. And how often have I left those tabs up for like a full week? And then by the time Friday comes around, I'm just like, close it. I don't even care, right? It's just, we think we're prioritizing, we think we're tasking in a way to keep us organized, when really we just need to realize that we were never meant to hold so much data all at once. I mean, to be quite honest, just reading through this list, recording this for you, is overwhelming me, right? I'm exhausted thinking about it, because I realize, and perhaps you do too, that I've really fallen victim to many sources of digital clutter, right? And it's creating a lot of overwhelm even in this moment. My mentor, Tisha Morris, she had said that digital clutter is becoming the new clutter epidemic. We don't know how this is all going to play out in the next several years, right? And the cloud, it's not free, right? It's not infinite space. Not only do we pay for cloud storage with dollars, like I just mentioned, for a couple things. I'm in a space where I either got to free up space or I just need to pay more. And in the past, I've always just paid more because I didn't have the capacity to do the digital cleanup. But not only are we paying for it in our dollars, we're paying for it environmentally too. These data centers, they require an extreme amount of energy to stay up and running. So your digital clutter is not only having a direct impact on your own personal environment or your own mental space, but also collectively within our earthly environment as well. And I'm not going to get into that here. A simple Google search to educate yourself on how data centers actually contribute to climate change, it's a wake-up call, and it's worth reading into. A lot of people don't even realize that there's a cost to the cloud. And as I like to say, always, always, we have to start with ourselves. We start within our homes. We start tending to our own clutter to contribute to the greater good. I believe that when everything in your digital life and physical life has a home, whether you move it to an organized folder or to the trash can, your mental space becomes more clear and you become more focused and present, right? Just like when your physical home is designed with intention, you create a sanctuary within mind and space. And so I invite you to join me. I'm hosting 4 free digital clearing sessions through the month of May. I want to round out your spring clearing with a digital detox. So how it's going to work is going to be very simple. We will meet over Zoom once a week, every week in May, as a group to tackle anything digital that you want to tackle, okay? Maybe you want to work on organizing your photos. And you know what? Let's get creative about this and let's get excited about it, right? Clearing clutter in any capacity can have this weight and this dread behind it, right? So let's choose things that are going to give us that feeling of elation and excitement when we're finished. So maybe instead of saying, I'm going to choose to go through all the photos on my phone, drab, right? Instead, I'm going to filter all the photos and videos on my phone, and I'm just going to look at videos. And I'm going to create a private YouTube channel so that I can upload these and we can have these to watch years later. That's something me and my family are doing. I started with me. I'm trying to get the kids and my husband to also partake and get these uploaded because there's so much good stuff. I mean, there's days that me and the kids will sit down and we'll just like go through our camera roll and we watch these old videos and we crack up. And these are things and memories that I want to remember. So I do want to get them organized, and I want to get them up and off my phone, the phone that I'm not going to have, probably in 10 years. If you're a business owner and you want to clean up some old client files, or maybe you pivoted like me and you have so much that just no longer resonates with what you do now, or maybe you even want to step into something new and creative, you're in a space of pivot right now. I guarantee you that if you're feeling stuck in your business, that there is some digital weight behind you that's holding you back from your expansion, because I've seen this happen with myself in my own business. And sometimes it doesn't even take a full deletion or organization for things to start to shift. Sometimes just the awareness alone of what you're still holding on to, physically or digitally speaking, is enough to bring about a more aligned energy. And in business, alignment means clients and cash, right? So get really intentional about how you want to use this time. Maybe you're healing from a past relationship that's sort of haunting you still in some unconscious way, or, perhaps you don't want to put yourself out there yet, or, the right person isn't coming along and you're getting a little frustrated by that. Maybe you need to go through your emails and old social media, your text messages, your camera roll, and do some deleting and emotional processing, right? We can't move on and invite something new without clearing out the old first. So this is going to be fun, you guys, and it's going to be releasing, and it's going to feel good, and it's going to be with full support. So if you're ready to clear out some digital clutter and reclaim some much needed space, you will feel this physically, mentally, energetically, environmentally. I'm hosting a free 4-week digital clutter detox in May on Zoom. It'll be gentle. It's going to be a supportive way to reset your relationship with technology and your time, all intentionally designed to lessen your overwhelm and allow your nervous system some much needed rest, just in time for you to enjoy your summer. And when you join the free digital detox, you'll also get access to my Work Life Home Guide to Balance for just $9, which is over 65% of the current price. All you have to do is sign up for the free digital detox at the link in the show notes, and I will email you a coupon code for you to use and purchase the guide. This guide will be a beautiful companion to these detox sessions and will help you create a lot more ease and flow and alignment in honestly every area of your life. So it's really a no-brainer. For just $9, you're getting the 12-page guide with journaling prompts and all, and 4 weeks of community and support to kickstart your decluttering journey. So let's do it now so we can all enjoy our summer. Some of us are going to have kids home this summer. Many of us have travel plans. We're going to be kicking things off again in the fall before we know it. And so let's not miss our opportunity to start again in the fall with a sense of being organized and in a state of ease and flow. So I hope to see you there. I hope you'll join me. Again, sign up at the link below for the 4-week digital detox in May, and I will be sharing more information with you on dates and times and all of the good stuff. Until next time, my friends, I am sending you so much love and gratitude.